The street froze the moment the old man's voice cracked through the air. His bent frame shook, his hand gripping a worn-out cane, but his fury was sharper than any blade. People turned. Cars slowed. Even the sun seemed to pause as he yelled with every ounce of breath left in his fragile lungs that they had beaten his wife. The words weren't just loud, they were soaked in pain, fear, and a lifetime of love threatened in one violent moment. And the biker standing in front of him, a towering wall of tattoos and leather, blinked in shock as the truth hit him harder than any punch ever could. If you believe the world still needs kindness, courage, and second chances, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps stories like this reach more hearts. The moment felt surreal to anyone watching. An elderly man in his late 70s, limping, trembling, desperate, and a biker leader twice his size staring down at him with stunned confusion. But what no one could ignore was the sheer terror in the old man's eyes. His voice broke again as he tried to speak, but his body betrayed him, bending under the weight of his agony. When his cane slipped from his fingers and clattered onto the pavement, the crowd gasped. And for a few seconds, the world felt painfully quiet. The biker, known on the street as Rex, had seen fights, betrayals, and street wars. But he had never seen a man this old, this broken, and this terrified. The way the elder clutched his chest, the way his voice trembled, it wasn't the kind of fear you fake. It was the fear of a husband who believed he might lose the woman he loved more than life itself. The truth spilled from his shaking lips. His wife, the only person who had stood by him through sickness, accidents, and a disability that had stolen his strength, had been attacked by two men outside a small grocery shop. He had tried to defend her, but his damaged leg and weak body couldn't carry him fast enough. He fell, he crawled, he screamed, but no one came. The attackers fled, leaving his wife unconscious on the floor. And the only reason he ended up on this street was because he ran, or rather limped, toward the sound of engines, hoping someone, anyone, would listen. And he found the bikers. For years, people whispered stories about Rex's crew, dangerous, wild, untouchable. Parents pulled their children aside when they passed. Shopkeepers locked their doors. No one ever asked them for help. Yet here was a disabled elder, trembling uncontrollably, begging them because he had no one else. Rex's jaw tightened as he listened. Something shifted in his expression, something heavy, something raw. He looked down at the man's shaking hands, then at the crowd watching from across the street. People stared but did nothing. Just like always. And that, more than the elder's words, sparked something deep inside him, a quiet, burning sense of shame. Without warning, Rex stepped forward, placing his giant hand on the old man's back, steadying him before he collapsed. The elder flinched, expecting more violence, but instead Rex knelt, actually knelt, lowering himself until he met the man's eyes face to face. The entire street held its breath. To see someone so feared bend down for someone so fragile was a moment few would ever forget. Then Rex did something no one expected. He called to his crew, his voice louder than the engines behind him. And immediately, the bikers, big, intimidating men who looked like warriors carved out of steel, shifted into action. Some ran toward their bikes. Others spread out to question witnesses. A few followed the elder back toward the grocery shop. Every single one of them moved with urgency, fueled by the man's pain. The elder struggled to keep up, exhausted and limping. But Rex walked beside him, offering his arm without hesitation. And when they reached the small store, the sight that met them cracked something inside every biker, an elderly woman lying on the pavement, bruised, her breathing shallow, her hand still reaching toward the spot where her husband had fallen earlier. The moment he saw her, the man's voice broke entirely. He collapsed beside her, holding her hand with trembling fingers, whispering apologies for not being strong enough. Rex swallowed hard. He had seen wounds, blood, and chaos. But nothing hurt like watching two people who had spent a lifetime together break under the cruelty of strangers. One of his men checked for a pulse, faint, but there. Rex's fists clenched. Not in rage alone, but in responsibility. He barked orders again, calling for the medic they kept in their crew after one too many street accidents. Within minutes, they stabilized her, lifted her gently, and escorted both husband and wife to the nearest clinic, refusing to leave their side. But Rex wasn't done. While the couple was taken care of, he led his riders into the neighborhood, questioning everyone. People who normally avoided bikers now pointed, whispered, even apologized for not helping the old couple earlier. Someone finally stepped forward, a shop owner, shaking as he described the two attackers. He had seen everything but was too afraid to intervene. His guilt was heavy, but the bikers didn't waste time blaming him. They had a mission. It didn't take long. Two thugs tried to hide in a deserted alley several blocks away, laughing as if they had gotten away with something small, something meaningless. But that laughter died instantly when the roar of motorcycle engines echoed off the walls. Rex didn't even need to say a word. The attackers froze, their faces draining of color. And in the next moment, they were surrounded. No punches. No revenge. No chaos. Rex simply handed them over to the authorities with every witness they needed. For the first time, the bikers weren't feared, they were respected. Hours later, as the sun softened and the street quieted, Rex returned to the clinic. The old couple lay together, hands intertwined, the fear slowly fading from their eyes. When the elders saw him, tears overflowed. Not from pain, but gratitude. Rex didn't know what to do with that kind of emotion. He just nodded, awkwardly, unsure how to respond. But then the elderly woman, her voice weak but steady, whispered something that silenced the entire room. "Thank you, for giving us hope again." For once, Rex didn't look like the giant biker no one dared approach. He looked like a man who realized that strength wasn't about fists, tattoos, or roaring engines. Sometimes, strength was stepping up when no one else would. If this story touched your heart even a little, please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps keep stories of humanity and courage alive. Before you go, comment below, kindness still exists.